don't think there's an after credits scene. You guys are hanging out. Hi again, I'm Tom Clark. I'm the senior columnist for Memento Mori Inc. magazine. They're an imprint of Crystal Lake Publishing. And you just watched American Psycho, and with me is Guinevere Turner. You saw her in the movie as Elizabeth, but some people don't realize that she co-wrote the screenplay to this movie.
I love credits, but maybe the sound down so we can...
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Now, American Psycho is one of the most misunderstood novels and films of all time. The film's gone through quite an odd metamorphosis. In the quarter of a century it's been out, from accusations of being homophobic, to accusations of misogyny. And to top this off, the latest craze seems to be alpha males finding Patrick Bateman to be a role model. I roll. It seems like a lot of people are missing the point here, Guinevere. How does this impact you as a creative, seeing people misunderstand your art in real time?
Sorry, I have a hard time communicating with any other noise except my voice. It is so confusing to me, the director Mary Herron, that the biggest, well, some of the biggest fans of this movie are the very people it's satirizing. The number of times that men have come up to me and said, bro, first of all, they never believed that I wrote it. Because, you know, a girl wrote that. But also, they will be like, dude, you wrote American Psycho? I am Patrick Bateman. And I'm like, I don't know what part of that movie you missed or what you're trying to tell me about yourself, but let's be clear, he's a serial killer. Most importantly, not that cool. Yeah. So it's just, and this goes on and on through generations, because this movie came out 25 years ago, where I'm like, I meet new fans, and I mean, it should be clear that when this movie came out, most of the female feminist women in my life were like, stank. And people said to me like, okay. And then they, 10 years later, it was on, pay-per-view or whatever it was in 2010. And women were like, oh my God, I saw that movie. It's actually really feminist. I'm like, what do you think I've been doing for the last 10 years? Just like, I don't know, let's just make a movie where like a man kills a lot of women. And like, no point.
Well, I think that was the point of it, though. To point out what men do, or people like Patrick would do.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of splatterpunk, and that's a great example. American Psycho is a great example of what actually encompasses splatterpunk. It's transgressive, it's counterculture, it tries to teach you a fucking lesson. And unfortunately, too many people don't get that. Now, what were some of the challenges that you faced adapting what has been called an unadaptable book?
Well, one of the challenges with that, 5 other people or teams had tried to adapt this book. And by the time it got to me and Mary Herron, the director, they were like, it's either going to work or it's going to die in the water. That was the opposite word. And so, being incredibly competitive women as we are, not with each other, but with the world, we're like, oh, we're gonna nail this. So, yeah, we just, it was a book that I never in my entire life would have read. No way. I am scared of like a Saw poster. I am not a scary movie lady, which is hilarious because like I'm in the cool B movie horror girl club that like I don't belong in, but I love and welcome. And so Mary Herron, who I will do a flawless impression of her right now, but you will not understand how great it is. Anyway, she's Canadian, but she spent a lot of time in Oxford, so this is how she talks. Look, Gwen, look, I know you don't like horror, but there's this, they've asked me to do American Psycho, and I'm like, what am I? I went to Sarah Lawrence, and what are you doing? I don't know what's going on. And she's like, hear me out, please read it. It's actually feminist. And I read it and I was like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? This is so fucked up. And I was like, I get it though. It's actually like Brett Ellis, who is now, my friend and colleague, who wrote the book of American Psycho, he told me, how many people in this room have read the book American Psycho? Oh, very few. Okay, so it's a fucking nightmare. It is like, it goes from like, all the things you see on the screen to, sort of penthouse letters, sex rather, pages and pages, and then violence, sexual violence for pages and pages. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And so when I met him, the writer of the book, who is the OG of this movie, a gay man, by the way, of note, I was like, what the fuck is your problem? And being a gay man who was closeted at the time, he was like, what do you mean? So I did not answer your question, I'm sorry.
It is ironic that, LGBTQ creators create something that's accused of being homophobic at one point.
I mean, I think misogyny was the front line of this movie, and I don't know, Mary and I just always laugh because it took a full decade for anyone to care about this movie. We got terrible reviews, people called it misogynist, people sort of like undervalued it in general, and then we talk about this a lot because we've been talking about this movie for 25 years. And also, whenever we are like, we've been talking about this movie for 25 years, we're like, hey, if you make a movie that people are talking about 25 years later, you're succeeding. We're just it's not misogynist. And people have, a new generation is like, oh, it's about toxic masculinity. I'm like, yeah, that term didn't exist. AJ John has a question.
Well, Christian Bale is so interesting and weird in this. It's like totally weird performance.
So Christian Bale is so weird in this, I was saying. And I wondered if he, how much of that weirdness was in the book versus the screenplay versus the audition.
Great question.
He's greatly weird. I think he's great.
So,
wasn't Christian like sought out by you guys to be Patrick?
no, although I love a movie that has legends around it. Does everyone know the actor Billy Crudup?
Yes.
He was attached to play the Patrick Bateman for about 3 months, and all respect to Billy Crudup, at some point he just came to Mary and said, I don't get it. Like, I don't know if I can do this. And I was like, well, definitely in hindsight, I'm like, does he regret that? But what integrity is an actor that he was like, I don't get it. But Mary was, when she saw him, and she describes it as, I wasn't there for the audition, she's like, he had like crooked David Bowie teeth, he had just gotten off an international flight, he was super skinny, and she was like, but he got it.
Because he understood it.
Yeah, I mean, even all these years later, when I see his performance, I'm like, it's so good. It's so subtle, it's so like on that line of, is it satire, is it real, like, do we love, I don't know about you, but like, I'm actually with him in many moments of this movie where I'm like, oh no, baby, no, don't do that, oh no, you're gonna get busted. It's so weird, it's such a weird experience to watch. I haven't watched it in a long time.
What kind of obstacles did you and Mary face collaborating on the screenplay?
I mean, we weirdly are like, I don't know. We don't fight. We had one fight once. It's been like 30 years. The obstacles we faced were that the financiers, Lionsgate, did not want Christian Bale. They wanted a star. And Jared Leto really wanted to. He auditioned, or he didn't audition. He met with us in a restaurant in Soho. Mary Herron, by the way, was 9 months pregnant when she directed this movie. And when we met with Jared Leto, she was, 8 months or whatever. And he was, he's lovely and he's incredibly handsome. But here's what I always say about Jared Leto. When you meet him, he goes, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to realize how gorgeous I am. We're like, oh my God, but yeah, you're totally gorgeous.
He was trying to start his cult with you guys at that moment?
I mean, so the obstacles were actually that at some point the property got so hot that a post-Titanic Leonardo DiCaprio was attached, and then it was taken away from Mary, and then Oliver Stone was going to direct it, and I was like, somehow, I guess, because I was like, okay, so we're going with Leo DiCaprio. Like, we're doing this. I'm like 27 years old. And she's like, no, I do not want to direct a movie with Leo DiCaprio's people all around me telling me how to direct the movie. I quit, and I was like, okay, love your integrity. And then, like, Oliver Stone was going to direct it, and can you imagine? And Oliver Stone directed American Psycho. And then that fell apart, and then, and then it all came back to us, and yay.
So you do have that small role in the film's third act of Elizabeth. It's an important role in the movie.
I think so.
Why do you think it is?
Well, I mean, it's...
Other than the fact that you are the actor in that position.
And so many answers. Okay, first of all, so I went to Sarah Lawrence and I am a lesbian. And this is from the book. There's a character who's like, and I like me mad rag and roll. And so I was like, Mary, and when we were writing it, I was like, I can no longer move forward with this project if you don't let me play this character. I went to Sarah Lawrence College, which is a very expensive place to go. I went on a scholarship, I met rich people for the first time. I'm like, I know this person, and I want to play her. And she's like, okay. But the scariest thing in the world was, my friend Mary Herron. We've been writing together. We'd already written our film, Notorious Buddy Page, which we couldn't get made because we did American Psycho. And all of a sudden, I'm on a set in a big budget movie, and she's the director, and I'm the actor. And I'm like, I'm just and so, like, I'm sitting on that couch all, like, trying to be like that, but I'm, like, inside I'm dying. And so I did the first take, worst moment of my acting life. Mary Herron comes out from the monitor, which is off of the set, comes down, sits down on that couch that you see in the movie, and says to me, "Are you okay?" This is like the worst thing you want to hear as an actor. I was like, maybe, I don't know. And then, and this, if you're a trained actor, which I'm not, is something that people say to you all the time, which is she just like sat down and she was like, your voice, I understand your voice, I know you understand this character, just throw it away. I don't know, I'd never heard that before. I'm like, oh, I'd just be like, well, I don't care, also this is the character. But it was like, I was like on the verge of tears because it was like, I'm feeling so big.
Well, you knocked it out of the park and really portrayed an 80s socialite.
Thank you.
Before I throw questions out to the audience, I want to ask you something. Is American Psycho a horror movie?
If you consider patriarchy a horror scenario. So yeah.
Fair enough.
No, it's a satire. It's a satire of the horror of patriarchy.
Okay. All right. Questions out there? Bring you the microphone, man. Over here. Oh, you got it. Okay.
Check. Hey, Leslie. Thank you. The tone of this film, to sustain the tone, as a writer, can you talk about how, from script to screen, the tone was maintained? Because that's something to me that's very interesting, right? From the words to how they come across. The tone of this movie is something that stands the test of time. So I just want, if you could talk about the tone of it.
It's so hard to, like, tone is such a ethereal thing. We read, well, she made me read the book, and she's like, I see satire, and I saw satire, and then we sat down, and we're like, okay, throw this violence away, and then I think the most important thing was where it's only gonna work if it's funny. And we're not comedy people, really, before or since, actually. I teach screenwriting, and I'm always like, what's your tone? And they look at me blankly, and I'm like, I don't know either. Like, it's like with this magical note that you either hit or don't, and it's maybe not even something that you can make as a goal. But we did know that we wanted this to be satirical. We did fail for a decade. They didn't get it. So you know what I mean? Like tone is like, right place, right time. Tone is whatever. It's this magical elixir.
You think maybe that nobody got it for a decade because it was too real?
Actually, kind of the reverse. I think that it came out in 2000. I don't think most people were even ready to satirize the 80s. And then we're very pre-Me Too. I'm just gonna say we were ahead of our time. And then we made a movie called Charlie Says, which is, in the same themes, very different movie. And that movie got terrible reviews. And Mary and I were like sitting in the lobby of a beautiful hotel at the Venice Film Festival, and we're just like, God damn it, like they don't get us. And her husband, God love him, he read us reviews from American Psycho, and he's like, you guys, this is what they said about American Psycho at Sundance in 2000. And we're like, okay. And then I'm like, Mary, we don't have again time to be the long game. Like, we're getting old.
Good question over here.
Hello. Love the movie. I came to it, just to add a comment before my question, I came to it probably in 2015 when I heard it was canned. I thought it was a horror. I saw it, I got the tone, and I wish that more people understand. I'm really glad that's having a resurgence, so congrats. And my question is, I'm curious if there were scenes or sequences that got cut from the movie in development or on set that you wish had made the final edit.
That mic is a little bad, but what you said was, are there scenes that were cut or things that were cut in the edit?
Either in the edit or in the development process that you wish could have made it to the final project, to the final cut.
This is the absolute luxury and wonderfulness of my life. I collaborate with Mary Hannon. When we write a script and it goes to production, we're just everything about it. And yeah, some things get cut in the editing room, but like very little. This is like not a luxury that most screenwriters get, and I'm just so grateful for my relationship with her. And it's actually no, because we got so many notes. We were like, no. We like, are you committed? We're committed. This is what we need. And so it's it is the brainchild of us just being like, we're gonna fight that. But wait, did a studio executive say that Patrick Bateman isn't sympathetic? But he's a fucking serial killer, okay? And we like stood our ground. Anyway, yeah, no. So amazingly no, and that the answer would be different for every single other movie I've ever written that has been on the screen.
I think the only difference between what you guys wrote down and what we saw in the theaters was 18 seconds.
Oh, you're gonna talk about the asshole?
Yeah, yes. Since you brought it up, the theatrical film was MPAA attacked, and they had to cut the scene where he says, show her your ass. It was asshole. We got to see that in this film, by the way, tonight. Thank God Jeff does it again. It's the good fun. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Yes, so, 18 seconds. That's the difference between your script.
There's a scene where he says, Sabrina, don't just look at her asshole, eat it. And so the,
MPAA.
the thing that censors you came at us for that, and so we just cut out whole. Inspired by, Jay Parker and Matt Stone, who, if you ever want to read about what the MPAA does, like they have been hilarious in skirting it. And so we were like, I don't know, it was just like that one thing, and yeah. I don't know, it's funnier with whole.
Where's our next question? Jessica Discardia tonight.
I gotta get to the other side. Who's next? All right, how about this guy first?
Hi, love the movie. Seen it multiple times. I remember when the book first came out, and the reviews were talking about how heinous this book was, and how awful it was, and how the subject matter was so terrible. It took me a long time to find it. It was basically a treasure hunt when the book first came out. And when I read it at the time, it was one of the most violent and heinous things I'd ever read. It's a rough read.
It's horrible. It's
a rough read.
Genuinely horrible.
What kind of headspace did you have to get into after reading the book? What kind of headspace did you have to get into to translate that into a script? And also, what happened to the rat scene that was in the book?
God damn you for bringing up the rat scene. The headspace was that already had kind of a proclivity to hate men.
I'm sorry?
I already had kind of a proclivity to hate men.
Okay.
Well, like, yeah, what they do.
Thanks,
I'm
opinion,
kidding.
sometimes.
But it was, what I said before, that I was like, inside this madman, Bret Easton Ellis, who wrote the novel, is a fucking genius. He's really hilarious. And I literally met the man. I was like, what is your fucking problem? This is the craziest thing, and this is what he told me. For those of you who have read the book, which is 3 of you, I was like, so the book is like hilarious, like satire about clothes and music and like the world and like these just toxic masculinity, deliciousness, and then these incredibly violent, sexually violent things. And he said, yeah, I just knew where those places would be in the book, and so I just wrote the book, and then I left those spaces. Then I went on a cocaine binge for 3 weeks, and I wrote the rest of them, and I was like, that makes perfect sense. It sounds like you're being cornered by a fucking psychopath on cocaine when you read these things. And so, I just had to dissociate a little bit because I saw a thing in there.
A small confession, I am one of those people, when I first saw the movie, I didn't get it, because I had just read the book, and there is a big difference between the two. But upon further viewings of the movie, I did come to appreciate it, and it's a fantastic film. Thank you for gifting us with it. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
thank you. It was not an easy, I was like, fuck you, Mary, fuck you, Brett. I was, ew, I hate this, I'm scared.
Hello,
Hi, James.
it's a really great film. I was into like really weird films like in the mid 90s and beyond. And one of the films that reminded me of was David Cronenberg's adaptation of Naked Lunch for some reason. Just the idea of like the film kind of collapsing in on itself was kind of elliptical kind of a thing. Like, I don't know, that was my connective thread.
Here's the thing is that Mary Herron, a Canadian, like David Cronenberg, lives for that man and his work. I'm just like, what? Like, Crash? Like, what is the relationship between sex and car crashes? Like, so this is why we're great collaborators, because I'm always like, that's stupid. And she's like, that's amazing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, what am I talking about? So she is deeply inspired by him. She loves him. I think he's talking gibberish all the time. Right? Here we are.
Yeah, I felt the scene where he's about to feed the cat to the ATM, and then the weirdness that happened after that. It almost felt like it was directed by Cronenberg in a way.
Yeah, and I think it's because she likes that surreal thing that I'm like, I'm a pretty grounded writer. I'm like, this fucked up thing happened to these fucked up people, and this is how it went down. And she's like, what if? I have to say I haven't watched the movie in a long time, and watching it tonight, I'm like, beautiful. Oh my god, she's so good. It's really good.
So my question was, after I used to watch it a lot, sometimes it kept popping up when I would wake up and it was on the premium channel. It's like, oh, American Psycho's on. I guess I'll watch it for the 10th time or whatever. And towards the end of the film, I don't know how much it was. I think it was really important at the end of the film. Like he has access to wealth, he has access to sex and violence and bloodlust, and none of it fills the hole, and he doesn't face any consequences. So he's kind of like in this hellish existence where nothing is being fulfilled, and he's not getting his comeuppance, his punishment for it. And I don't know, I find that kind of interesting because I see, stories and certain people and characters, real life characters who seem to be able to do whatever they want, and there's no consequences for it. But then you also look at them and you see, like, that guy seems pretty damn miserable. He has everything he wants, and yet he's still so fucking miserable. And it's like nothing is enough, and there's no punishment for it. And I was just wondering, what do you think of that theme of like not receiving punishment or getting away with it is a hell upon itself?
We're living in it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna cry. Yeah, no, we didn't know because it, oh my God, when we did this, it was, I don't know, Bill Clinton was president. We were obviously, anti-government, antitrust. It's aged well, but also terrifyingly.
I like the part also with one of his friends. He's looking at Reagan, and he says, and he's just like, even though he's corrupt, he has the same, avarice similar to Patrick Bateman and their other cast of characters. He's just looking at Reagan. He's kind of disgusted by what he's seeing. Like he's just acting like an old codger, but inside he trails off. He doesn't complete it, but he doesn't need to. We all know what
he's getting at. I just found that kind of interesting, you know. So like the hell of having everything and not being punished becomes a punishment in itself. I don't know. It's a fascinating film. I just pick up new things from it all the time.
Who's our next question?
Thank you.
Young man over here. This guy. I can't do. If it wasn't for Beard Dog End, I'll be talking to you right now, okay?
Hi. So I did today think a lot about how in the late 80s, Donald Trump was a major symbol of wealth and obscene kind of riches and power. So I had wondered about whether or not that went into any of the writing. I did hear it mentioned a few times, but going kind of piggybacking off of James's question, or not question, I guess observation, sorry. I kind of took not just his lack of being punished, but also he like really was like crying for help. And like in such an individualist, society, he was asking for help, but he wasn't getting it because it's two individuals, no one cared. He was reaching out for help and like he was trapped in it. I just got that.
Yeah, I think this is turning into a support group, but I'm not.
Anyway, my Trump question was the real question. How much was that though?
Yeah. So we wrote the movie in, 97, 98, Donald Trump was a punchline.
Yeah.
It's the only thing when I watch this movie and I'm like, it just like, it hurts a little bit now.
Time for one more question. Bueller, anyone? Anyone? Young man here.
Hello. So I'm a big fan of the movie. I've watched it many times since you first released it. And tonight was the first time I heard that there was a feminist side to the movie. And so as you mentioned that, I don't mean to be ignorant, I'm just being honest. And so,
This is a thrilling movie. I mean that with all sincerity.
yeah, I'm being honest. So, it's changed over the years for me as I've watched the movie as I've gotten older. And so I didn't want to hypothesize what you were intending from the movie. I was just curious, from a woman empowerment or a feminist standpoint, what were trying to convey through the movie so I can watch it through that lens the next time I see the movie. That's my question.
I like the question. There are a lot of ways that you can make a point, right? You can make a point by being like, this is my fucking point. Or you can make a point by being like, let me show you puppets. Or you can make a point by being like, what if I show you a ridiculous version of yourself that is vaguely familiar? And there's 5 billion more ways to make a point, a point. I think that we just saw this piece of material as a wonderful springboard with this inadvisable, coked up gay man who wrote it. I love you, Brett, sorry. That we're like, no, he's on to something because he's outside of mainstream culture, because he has experienced homophobia, I'm sure. That like there's a thing here. And so this movie is, oh my God, I wish Mary was here right now. She came to show the movie last year at Syracuse, and just as we were walking there, she's like, I'm never talking about this movie again. And I'm like, baby, if you make a movie and people are still talking about it 25 years later, you kind of gotta go with it. Yeah, it's about toxic masculinity. It's just about that. And it's about, I don't know, I honestly, it's so amazing to see where this movie has gone, and to see that so many men who are being satirized are such huge fans of it, and that's so them. To be like, oh my God, they made a movie about me. I'm like, no, bro, we were making fun of you. And they're just like, oh yeah, but I love that movie. I'm totally inspired for Freeman. It's just, I'm just like, okay, that's the delight continues. But genuinely speaking, it's especially when we made it, violence toward women on screen was incredibly controversial, and there was a very important movement happening around, like, we can't do this, we don't need to do this, there's so much violence against women on screen, and we were like,
Well, most of the violence against women is off screen, which is interesting. You don't really see it, but it's implied. I just find that fascinating with that concept of, you know, the violence towards women, which they respect in a way. I don't know if I'm trying to make a point here or not, but you don't really necessarily see a lot of it on screen. You see the sex and the drugs and all that stuff in the Phil Collins, but beyond that, it's very off-screenish.
well, that was part of our thing. So I read the book, she had already read it, and I was like, ew, I hate it, it's so gross, ew, and bad. And then I was like, okay, but I'll do it. And then we were like, we don't want all of this insane violence to be on screen. But then we're like, we also don't want to be the chicks who were like, we're scared of the violence. And so, like, after much crafting and going away and like writing and thinking, we were like, okay, we gotta have one ridiculous, outrageous scene in this movie that's like, no, we can do it. We just don't choose to, except for this one scene. And it's surreal and ridiculous with the chainsaw. And just so you know, we can do genre. We can do this. We can scare the pants off of you. In particular, Kara Seymour running down the halls, banging on all the doors. That scene haunts me to this day, and I'll tell you why. Because I wasn't there on that set that day. And this was, we're shooting in 1998. And Kara and I, we did all these scenes together, and we were friends, and she was like, that was the hardest thing I had ever done. I felt so alone. It's so primal to be running down a hallway and banging on doors and no one's answering and there's a man chasing you. She's like, I just really wish you were there just at the end of the take so that I could just hold your hand. And I was like, fuck, but also, yes, that's why you fucking do this scene, because it's the scariest thing in the fucking world if you are a woman.
It's a very interesting scene with earlier in the movie, he's working out to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then not less than like a half hour later, he's whirling the chainsaw in the stairway, just like Leatherface was, and there you go. And that homage to that, I don't know if that was meant to be. Obviously,
of course, yeah.
Let's go foreshadowing, Jeff.
Yes, I know. But my main question is, where are you going from here? What do you got going on? I know you're doing stuff at SU, but other than...
Mary Harris and I...
You took my last question, thanks.
To answer your question, Tom. Mary Herron and we made American Psycho. We made a movie called The Notorious Grey Page, which I highly recommend. It's one of those movies where people come up to me. That came out in 2005. They're like, wow, that's an amazing movie that no one ever saw. You're welcome. And then we made a movie only written by me called Charlie Says, which is about the women who killed Charles Manson and their time in prison. Highly recommend. Again, slow burn. Terrible reviews. Catch up with us when we're dead. And now we are in pre-production for a movie. It's our first movie that is actually contemporary. It's about 4 outcast teens of the foster care system and their crazy-ass life living off the grid.
Syracuse has great film credits. New York State.
Oh no, I've tried to sell her on the Onondaga County film credits. She's gonna shoot in Kingston because you gotta get those New York actors to be able to travel, but not.
Oh, have her come here. Syracuse is welcoming. We'll do the premiere. Syracuse.
Of course we will. She's been here. She's spoken.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Turner.
Thank
you very much.
Well, up next we have Just Kids.
And everyone's invited to hang out and watch it too.
Yep.
We'll take about a 10-minute break, and then please come in and enjoy Just Kids, and that will be the night cap.